What's up guys? Today I'm gonna be building a wooden kicker. Alright, so for this build we're gonna need 6 2x4s that are 8 feet long. We're gonna need 1 3/4 inch thick 4x8 sheet of plywood. And then we're gonna need 2 3/8 inch thick 4x8 sheets of plywood. So the first thing I'm gonna do is draw the transition. So what I did is lay the 4x8 out on the grass so I can draw my transition. For this transition, I'm wanting to use either a 10 or 11 foot radius. To draw the transition, I put a stake in the ground 10 feet from the furthest edge of the plywood. Then using a string and a pencil, I drew the transition. I then repeated this to draw the 11 foot radius. I don't know if you can see it, but I tried out 2 different radiuses. One was an 11, one was a 10. This is the 11, this is the 10. I think I'm gonna do the 10. It's a little more peaky and might be a little more fun. So now that I have the transition drawn, I'm gonna use a jigsaw to cut it out. Then when I get that cut out, I'm gonna use that as a template for the other side. She's a little rough, but it'll do. Alright, we're done with the transitions and it's looking pretty good. Each of those are about 4 feet tall, and the next thing I'm gonna do is cut the cross members, which I want this thing to be 4 foot wide. So we have 2 3/4 boards, which is 1.5 inches. So we need 46.5 inch long center cross members. My plan is to do 8 of them on the transition, and then I'm gonna have a couple down here for support. So let's get to cutting. Cool, so we got 12 46.5 inch 2x4s, and then we have our 2 transitions. And now the next step is to start assembling everything. Okay, so now that we have the ramp standing up, I'm going to add a board at the bottom, a board at the top. I'm gonna do another board in the middle at the bottom just for support. And then I'm just gonna equally distribute the rest of the 2x4s on the transition, so that way we have equal amount of support all the way up. All right, well, I'm gonna do about 10 inches between each board. My goal was to equally space them out to kind of just fit them in there, but they're not staying. So I measured the length of this arc, and it's about 80 inches, and I'm doing 80 boards. So I'm just gonna do every 10 inches a board. So we'll see how that works out. Alright guys, so we got the structure built. The next step is to use the 3/8 plywood to sheet the transition. Alright, so I went ahead and I already did 1 layer. You may notice there's a seam right here. I mean, it looks like 1 4x8 sheet could cover this entire transition. The thing is, you can only bend this wood with the grain and not against the grain. So if I were to bend this board right here, where the grain is traveling this direction, if I bend it here, it'll likely crack, especially since we have like a foot that it needs to go. So what needs to happen is I need to cut this in half to have 2 4-foot sections, since this is 4 foot wide. And then since we have a seam in the middle right here, I'm gonna end up cutting it with the grain in half again so that we can offset the seams. And I'll show you what I mean as I do it, just show you why that's important to do versus stacking up seams, just basically to give you extra strength. And then just to just to be a little more clear on this, see the grain's going this direction. Wants to bend. Rotate it. Grain's going up and down. Does not want to bend. Not a good time. Alright, so I have my 3 pieces cut, and just to clarify why I did that, my seam is right here in the middle, and I don't want to have overlapping seams because then that'll create a weak spot where the tire could potentially break through the surface. So by cutting this into 3 pieces, it covers up the seam, and now I don't have any overlapping seams, which means stronger surface, hopefully.
Instincts going no, looking bad like a bat with an eye patch. All black through the woods with a backpack and a lit match. Spark one time, get the whole city looking like a dark shade of orange when I burn it down. What it is, what it do, whole clique getting live on the talk of the town. Let me city had a mouth and it wouldn't shut up. On a hunt for a crown, when I get it, I'ma burn it, cause nobody in the game right now even deserve it. What I need a crown for anyway? I should have a halo the way that I made a penny turn to gold. And a penny for your thoughts, I bet a penny for your soul.